Photographers are like hurricanes. They're generally unwanted in your area. They cause damage wherever they go. They provide no real useful value to society. Nobody really knows why they exist. Still, I will help 10 of them today and hope that they're just a less of a nuisance on society after my advice.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
So we're on the Olympus EM1 Mark III, 17mm 21.8. I touched that thing. Why don't you take an RX100 Mark VII with you? It is vlogs. Flip up screen. Oh, you crackhead noobs. Every day with your suggestions for the perfect camera. I get these freaks wandering into my shop every day thinking, oh, you must have overlooked this one, bro. RX100. This is zoom range. You can see yourself. Kill your dog. If you're documenting somebody's struggles with Parkinson's disease until their inevitable death, and you want to replicate that feeling of a shaky earthquake show, no offense, you get a Sony camera, pretty much. The ZV-1 kills that thing in every way. It's got a faster, brighter lens, active stabe that actually does something. It's still terrible. It still jerks, but there's moments, at least in your vlog, where it's like, oh, it's super slow. Oh, what was that? And then it's super stable. Did that ruin my audio? Oh, it sure did. The ZV-1 is better in every way, pretty much, for YouTubers, and I still don't want it. So like the RX100, like you get a little longer reach, but it ain't long enough. 400 mils is not really long enough, but it's fun enough. If you had like a 20 to 500, that's pretty reasonable. And everybody with that Ulanzi adapter, let me just say, it's a tiny lens that zooms out and then you're putting this heavy thing on the end of it with glue. I don't like those odds. I don't like that thing. It's too heavy. And it's like, it's gonna break the lens eventually. It's just, when will it happen? Before your warranty is up? Plus, it autofocuses worse with that adapter. It just changes some things. I don't like it at all. That took a while. That's fine. I forgive you, Olympus. You can do nothing wrong to me. My question is it possible to slow down the shutter speed by some kind of smart blending? Optical flow, maybe, of frames going with from 60 frames per second to 24? Or the ND filters is the only option we get in order to accomplish that. So you want the smooth motion blur. The best way to get it is with the motion trails in Davinci Resolve. These are the most natural things you could ever have. I like doing it just because it's so natural looking. Is he seriously just gonna get up mid-shot and demonstrate? What are you doing? It's a gimmick. It's not smooth motion trails. It's just this thing they never should have came up with. This is not good content. Where are you going? What are you doing? I'm trying to run a show here. People don't have time for this shit. Oh God, what's he doing? How long is he gonna do it for? Oh, I just want to help this guy move on with his life. Nobody needs this. Oh God, when will it end? Just make it end already. I don't want this. So obviously that's not a viable solution. It's a little gimmicky, but Davinci has the motion blur setting. It's in the color grading tab, and it kind of helps. Like, I use it on the hyperlapses for the GoPro, and it does make it a little smoother and more cinematic looking. So I would use it, but I don't know if you can really film at a shutter like 1/2000th in a sunny day, and it's not going to look quite like it was at a correct shutter speed. Olympus always chooses 25th of a shutter when I'm indoors. I don't know why. What are you doing? What made you want to switch to the GoPro over the Osmo Action 1? The dynamic range on the GoPro? Great work. Keep up the great work. I will. There was a couple reasons. It's a coin toss? A coin toss? It's a coin toss. Oh, edit it out. Oh, call my editor. Oh, I'm the editor. It's a coin flip. It's like either one you'd be happy with. You're not going to see much of a difference, but it's just after having both, comparing them, I just like how GoPro exposes a little more naturally. There's just so many moments in a vlog where on the Osmo Action you're dark, completely dark, and you look at the screen, you have to see it. It's like, oh, and then you have to point up. Like if you're at the sky, it's always going to retain the highlights. So GoPro has a little bit more dynamic range and smarter exposure algorithms. So those are the main two reasons, and also just the slow-mo is a little more polished, a little higher resolution, and it's stabilized. Not that you really notice the stabe missing when it's so slow, 240 frames per second, like you're not even gonna see it, but you kind of do. Once you see them side by side, you can't go back. And I think I prefer the GoPro color science, but I flip-flop on that. It's subjective, and my subjections change over time, so I don't know. Osmo Action has this like reds and the black. I'm gonna test it again soon because I do have that infrared IV cut filter, so let's see if that gets rid of the blacks. But GoPro's good. If you can't afford it, just get the Osmo Action through my affiliate links, of course. Curious, did you ever end up getting the Sony K3M? I just got a NTG5 and I want it for ease of use. Laugh out loud. It wasn't funny. No need for the laugh out loud. And the cry laugh, that's an overkill. Hard. I was debating it, but here's two reasons I didn't get it. One, right now, I'm recording into Adobe Audition, which I definitely pay for monthly, and I'm proud to do it. I don't use a 2015 version, I never would do that. I'm already in there, and I'm going to edit it there anyway. So it's like, recording it to the camera doesn't actually save me a step, it's actually worse. Because once I finish this video, I stop on both. And then I start editing the file in the audio while I get this and start transferring those files. So it's like, if the audio's synced already, it's not a huge, like it's very easy, a little clap and sync. It's just when you're vlogging and you have like, you're stopping and starting the camera a lot, then syncing external audio is overkill. I tried for the longest time to edit my audio in Davinci. It's terrible. Compared to Adobe Audition, I gotta give it where it's due. Also, if you get the Sony XLR adapter, what do I use now? I'm on Olympus. You're stuck in the Sony ecosystem, and that's a terrible place to be. Color science of a reptilian lizard. We'll switch to it. Oh, I'll do it. I don't like that. If I'm gonna get that type of adapter, it better work on all my cameras. We have just made a switch to the most dramatic change you've ever seen in the history of a YouTube show. I went from a 35mm equiv to a 50. There's popcorn down in the lobby if you want to just... Was that your question? Sony RX0 Mark II. Small 1-inch. Here's another crackhead noob thinking he has life figured out. What does he not know? I'll tell you. GoPro size, up to 1,000 frames per second, 4K, and a flippy screen. It's got everything. How come you're not using it, bro? Any good? Ever heard of it? Looks like a solid piece of kit. I want one. Thought it'd be right up your street. You'd be wrong, dickhead. Alright, try not to take offense here. I know you mean well. You saw a little tiny camera with a flippy screen, you thought, wow, that's probably perfect. I'm gonna tell my buddy Camera Conspiracies about it. I'm sure he'll appreciate the good news. That thing is worse than killing your pet. If you had... Just listen to this. The Sony X3000, we all know, my favorite camera ever made. I traveled the world with that thing, tiny thing in my pocket. I'm on plane trips, going to different countries, tiny little thing, barely noticed it. Oh, do I have a camera? Oh yeah, let's film this shot. Oh, that was a great clip. Back in the pocket, we're off. Best stabe, good audio, like perfect. That's the camera I'm hoping they upgrade one day. They're never gonna do it. Then they come out with this thing. Goodbye wide angle fun. Goodbye good stabilization. Goodbye everything you once knew and loved about a vlogging camera. I don't understand it. Every day, Sony releases a new vlogging camera that's worse in every way than the worst camera they ever made. The X3000 had a 17mm fun, happy wide lens, and we moved to an RX0 with a 24mm zero stabe lens, Tony 4. Disgusting. And then you add stabe, which is a Sony crop your children in half. It's now a 32mm lens. To add to the scrutiny, that's the word, single autofocus. Instead of having a fixed focus that you never have to worry about, you now have to half press the shutter. But with a 32mm crop, you need a tripod to extend it out. You can't touch the fucking button now. It's gone. It's out of your reach. So you're never going to be in focus. How could you ever be? It's the dumbest system I've ever seen, and that stab is so jerky. You jerks. How can Sony keep doing this to us? They have boss stabilization. They have the best technology this world has ever known, and then it's in none of their vlogging cameras. Just the X3000 that they're ignoring. The perfect little camera. Just needs some updates to the menu system, a little 4K, 60p if you got it. A little 480p, come on. The RX0 lineup is a disgrace to humanity. It's an insult to everything we've overcome as a people together. And that's what we come up with to celebrate? The amount of jackass YouTubers who reviewed that thing in the beginning. This would be a great vlogging cam, and provided me with shaky, noisy footage. And that tiny little screen, it's like covered, half of it's covered, and you can't see a damn detail. See, it's even worse than their Kodak deal they struck in 1971 for the 10 million screens they bought. Sony, I hate you. Great video. Is it worth upgrading to the new Fuji 1.4 primes? Those things are probably phenomenal. Now, as somebody who's never tried them, I'm going to give you advice. I think they updated the autofocus algorithms, a little motors, a little smoother. They're better in every way. Would I upgrade to them? If you have, like the 35mm 1.4, should you get the new 33mm? I don't know, man. You're not going to notice much of a difference. It's just, it'll be silent autofocus now. Like, there's some things you might like, but I wouldn't upgrade to them, but I would definitely buy them over the old ones, and definitely over the Viltroxers. Oh, those Viltroxers. The problem is they haven't updated every focal length, so if it was me, I would buy that 33mm 1.4. That'd be a great look, just like this, basically a Quiv, slightly more ton. Wow, magenta skin tones, those are appreciated. And then I would be like, oh, my 16mm 1.4, they haven't updated it. They went to the 18, that's a little tight. It's a little tight. I would have appreciated a 14 1.4 or something like that. And then where's the 12mm 1.8? Give me something. Which, if I get the Panasonic G9, will the 10-bit video have more low-light performance than the A6600, even though G9 apparently has 11 stops dynamic range, and A66 has 14 stops on the spec sheet? Listen, buddy, you're talking specs that have nothing to do with each other. I should slap you. Come closer. 10-bit does nothing for low light as far as I know. So like the A6600 is gonna have way better low light than the G9. Like Sony's kind of known for it. Although they do secret things that are bad. Like you go high ISO and it's like, wow, that's so much less noisy. But they like noise reduction it in camera. It's the colors shift. Like, I don't know how great they are, but they're pretty good. To the average eye, I think Sony kills it. Which would I get right now for video? That is a tough one. That is tough. Because I kind of miss that Pane boy. Pane, you have a special place in my heart. If I see a S5 deal, I might pounce. Wait for that 18mm 1.8. It's over. This channel's finished. Just know that you're manually focusing on that G9 or you're tapping to lock. You're not just trusting it. Bad things happen. So Sony if you need autofocus, G9 if you need stabilization, which is more important. You can't handhold the Sony. You can't trust the Panasonic. Maybe search for something else. Your both options suck. How much better is the A7 IV over the A7C or Canon R6? I'm looking at buying my first camera for YouTube and social media and Zoom calls, which will likely be my future if I can get... Oh, no, not... I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody who's been injected with fun things, experimental things, they chose the right path. There's definitely benefits to all those things. Love those. So, if it's me, the problem is the Sony A7C isn't very cheap for what it is. Like, it looked like it should be half the cost of the A7 III. Like, it's old tech, 8-bit files, tiny little cheap body with worse stabe. It's like, If it was 1500 or something, you'd be like, wow, full frame for that? Like, that's Canon RP territory. That's what you're competing with, but it's double the cost. I don't understand why that thing exists, really, but it's a nice little thing. Just know that I see further in your show here, you got Davinci Stab. I can't read. You're going to use the free version of Davinci Resolve, and just know that you can't edit 10-bit files in the free version. There's many things you can't do. They pretend it's free. So then you're stuck with 8-bit anyway, and that means on the Canon R6 you can't use C-Log. You're stuck in just the standard profile and 0 dynamic range on that. I don't know, if it's me, I get the Sony A7 IV. I doubt you need it. You're looking at ZV-1 right now. Like, what do you need for Zoom calls? Nobody gives a shit. I used to use my XT4. Sometimes I was like, you know what? All these other guys with their laptops have better color than this thing. What the hell? Like, no one cares. But for YouTube, like ZV-1, start there, and then you're looking at like thousands. Man, but the A7 IV, like, if you're gonna get into wildlife, then you got something. It's an ultimate camera. It's probably better than my A7S III in a lot of ways. I hate how Sony does that. All right, this look is too cinematic for Micro Four Thirds. We don't deserve it. Let's switch to this kit lens thing that I just bought, the wide one. That's fun. Oh yeah, that's bound to look good, huh? We got a Tony 5.6 indoors with no lights. Just a rainy day window light. We're at ISO 3200. And the shutter speed's flashing. Yeah, that just happened. 9mm. Take that ISO. Still 3200. That's a bitch. Need some advice? I currently own a Fuji XT4. I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry for your loss. 35mm Tony too. That lens, when I first saw it, Flat Earth Santa sent it to us. I saw that thing outside. I was like, I am done. We've reached the holy grail. That thing was fantastic. The best look I've ever seen, but with the Fuji autofocus hunting and that lens breathing so hard, it was like half the shot kept coming in. I moved you closer. I'm in the rule of centers. There's too much stuff on that. A lot of blank space over there. Nothing wrong with that. Was that your question? For documentary and street style video, I'm thinking of upgrading to the Sony FX3 and using an A7S III as a B cam. Jeez, somebody won the lottery 7 times. Wow. So, in my opinion, you just stick with what you have. Are you even making films? Don't lie to yourself. Is it happening? Are you in it? Or are you just thinking, oh, it might be fun to make that? A documentary. Do you have the skill or talent? Ask yourself. So, like, are you doing it? If you're manually focusing, Fuji XT4 will do you. It'll do you. Unless you're, like, super low light, maybe. The FX3 will have advantage. But just know that, like, up to 12,800, you're worse than most other cameras. Like, it's bad. If you're up at, like, 8,000 ISO on a Sony, forget about it. It's so ugly and noisy. But once you hit 12,000 and up, there's like no camera that can compete up there. It's a new realm. It's like, wow, are you gonna do that? And you're gonna have worse stabilization. Not worse, probably equal. Not good though. You need a gimbal. Do you have that much money? That's a lot of money. You're looking like over 10 grand just for the 2 cameras. Do you have a budget? Is it in the budget? Don't get me wrong, it's hard to beat those things. If I had to shoot a documentary right now, I'd be using my Sony A7S III and I'd be using the autofocus and it would work and I'd be totally confident in it. Fuji, no way. I'd have to take manually control of the manuals. All right, last question. We vlog it. Hey Casey, can you help me work out which work is best for tricking and making steady shots? I only have a T2i with kit lens. Trying to record using a strap. When you hang it from the strap, you use the strap trick around my neck. Oh, I'm pulling it. This is so stable. Your ass is shaky. Try recording with the strap. Try to post-process, but it crops too much. Please guide me, sensei. It's time for an upgrade, little buddy. That T2i. I remember when I first got into YouTube, I think I was thinking of an upgrade, and people were saying like, T3i, go for it. It's got a flippy screen. Like maybe back in the day, it was acceptable. And it's been like 8 generations since then. You're at such a bottom tier. It scares me. Like, you gotta jump up a notch. It's time to upgrade. I know there was that one guy that used I think it was the T2i, I forget, DSLR video guide or something. He just used this old camera for so long. It could be done, but you don't know what you're doing. He had a gimbal and stuff. T2i, God. If you get like the SL3, at least you have digital stabe in there. But like a kit lens stabe, it's unforgivable. I don't know which generation started adding the digital stabe, but that whole like Canon APS-C DSLR era is done. They're not going to come out with new stuff ever again. I would say their M line is also done. I can't see them coming out with a new, maybe one more with IBIS something. I doubt it. What are your options? Since you were using a T2i and somewhat happy with the footage, maybe just try to find a G7X Mark I used and then tap on yourself to focus. It's a piece of shit. I don't know, man. Just get a DJI Action 1 and call it a day and leave me alone. So I think we're finished here today. Which lens did you prefer? Is this one? I'm not sold on this lens. I'm going to try another vlog, but I've been enjoying the 50mm vlogs with the super long pole. It's not annoying. You're annoying. So I'm going to leave. Thank you for watching and buying all these cameras through my affiliate links. How you doing? Clicking the subscribe button cures you of mouth dryness. I need water.